Hello Ghost Hunters, Tommy Terror here on the Edinburgh Ghost Bus Tour. On this day, the 18th of March in 1752, the first Bodysnatchers to ever be hanged for murder were hanged here in Edinburgh in the Grassmarket Square, and they were actually two women. They were called Helen, Torrance and Waldie. Now this was long before Burke and Hare. We're talking about 80 years before Burke and Hare committed the Westport murders. So Helen and Jean were two neighbours. They lived nearby each other here in Edinburgh's Royal Mile, and they were two nurses and they liked a wee bit of a drink. So to get some extra money for booze, they decided to sell a dead body to the student doctors for 5 shillings. Now they promised the doctors the body of a young boy in their care who was thought soon to die. But the whole thing was a trick. They actually planned to sell the doctors a weighted coffin for 5 shillings, but they must have realised they wouldn't get away with this in the long run, so they changed their plan and they set their sights on a real victim. This was a 9-year-old boy called John Dallas. So they planned to murder him and sell his body to the student doctors. So they distracted his mother by inviting her round to Helen Torrance's house for a drink. And while they were having a wee drink and a wee party, Jean Waldie snuck out, went back to the boy's house and kidnapped him and took him back to her flat. Now later on she was joined there by Helen Torrance, and they got the boy, they gave him drink, got him drunk, and they smothered him in the bedclothes. So now they had the dead body, and they invited the student doctors round to have a look. Now they wanted 5 shillings for the body, which was about £30 in today's money, and that would buy them quite a bit of drink. But the student doctors were only willing to pay 2 shillings. So the women haggled with them, and the doctor said, well, I'll give you a wee bit more if you deliver the body to our house in the Cowgate. So Helen Torrance wrapped the body up in her apron, carried it through the streets of Edinburgh to the Cowgate and delivered the body. Now 4 days later, the body was found dumped in the streets with incision marks in the stomach. And by this time, of course, the boy's mother had raised the alarm, contacted the police. So the student doctors must have started dissecting the body of John Dallas and then realised this was a murder victim and panicked and dumped the body. So soon after that, Helen and Jean were arrested and put on trial, and they were found guilty and sentenced to die. Now Helen Torrance pleaded the belly, and to plead the belly was to say you're pregnant, so they couldn't hang you, but this was disproved and they were both hanged in the Grassmarket Square on the 18th of March 1752. So that's 272 years ago this very day, the world's first body snatchers executed for murder, long before Burke and Hare.